Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hi there. Welcome to the Metabolic Wellness Reset before the holidays. Let's see if we can do a sound check. Can one of you let us know?
Can
How's
you
the
hear us?
volume?
Sound good to me. I can
Good.
hear you.
Great.
Great.
Julie, do you go ahead and say something?
Hello, I'm Julie.
We hear
How is
you.
Julie's volume?
Good.
It's
Good.
not too loud or too soft?
Nope.
Okay,
No.
great. Thank you guys. The technical stuff, the most important to get right. Okay, this call is being recorded, and I am the only one right now that's able to let people into the room. So if you could just give me a couple seconds here.
I was actually able to admit somebody, so just so you know, if you're doing things, I can assist.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you, Julie.
Mhm.
Okay. I see 12 people have joined. We've got 20 signed up. I know some of us cannot be here. We're going to be listening to the recording. So that is great. I just want to make sure we are all set. Julie, is there anything else before we get going?
Um, I think we're good.
Okay, great. Well, hello everyone, and again, welcome to the Metabolic Reset. This is a special edition of our program where we are focusing on strategies for before the holidays get here. So we just had Halloween, we've got Thanksgiving around the corner, and this is a very critical time to get our strategy down so that we are going to handle the holidays in the best way possible. So I'm really excited that you guys are here for this special edition of the Reset. Um, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Anika, and I have been in the field of nutrition and functional medicine, wellness for about 28 years. So it's been a huge, lifelong journey, it seems, for me. And I got into it back many years ago because of my own health struggles. I was chronically ill from starting from a very young age until my 20s. And I fixed a lot of what was going on through nutrition. So it has a very, very special place for me. And I want you guys to know that everything that you are learning throughout the courses that you're taking with us or the one-on-one calls is rooted in principles that I have used myself, that Julie has used herself to provide for incredible healing. So I went from being chronically ill, and I won't give you my whole story because this is not about me today. It's really about you guys. I want you to know that I have had pretty awful health for the majority of the first 25 years of my life. And I turned that around. And what I want to impress upon you is there is nothing more powerful than focusing on your diet, your lifestyle. And I want to share these incredible principles with you. Julie and I have a wonderful program for you, and I'm really looking forward to sharing. Oh, we've got some feedback. Please, everyone, if you could mute yourselves, that would be awesome. So let's get started. First, I'd love to introduce Julie Matthews. Julie and I have known each other for over 15 years. She is an incredible nutritionist. She has published scientific research studies. She is an author. She's incredibly respected worldwide for her work in the field of nutrition. So I'm very excited to have Julie on my team and be co-hosting this event with her. So Julie Matthews, welcome. And
Thank you. Thank you,
oh,
Anika. I'm really, really glad to be here. I come in here from a slightly different angle, but Anika, as she said, we've known each other for a long time. We have very similar philosophies, very similar passions of personalized nutrition approach. Some of you might know actually my expertise is in autism nutrition. However, I have my own very personal journey with weight loss and metabolic health. So I have been applying these principles for myself and for my family for many, many years, far outside of the world of children's nutrition and autism and all of that. So that's how all of my story kind of comes together and where my passion really comes into this, because for many years, many decades really, until I figured out what was going on, I really struggled. And once I figured out what was going on and how to eat best for myself, all of the challenges, stresses, struggles really vastly improved, with some things that were not very challenging to do or to maintain. I just needed to understand how to apply principles that were going to work for me. And so that's why I'm really excited to be here today and to be here sharing all of these strategies with all of you.
Amazing. Excellent. So one of the things also that I wanted to make sure everyone realizes is the critical timing of this reset before the holidays. Because if we really think about it, we are faced with 3 holidays back to back, most of us are at least, and we are constantly exposed to food that's sitting in our refrigerator even after the event is over. Lingering on for a week or two after each holiday. So one of the things that I was just reading earlier, I was just sharing this with Julie, the New England Journal of Medicine says that people gain an average of 2 pounds during the holidays each year. But the problem is that we're going into the new year and we're not losing that extra weight. So some of us it's just 2 pounds, some of us it's maybe 5 or 10 pounds. And then we're going into the new year and we're not losing that extra weight that we put on. And so then the cycle continues. And a few years later, you're 20 pounds heavier. So it doesn't make sense to just keep spiraling after the holidays. So our goal today is not a quick fix at all, but instead we want to show you a path that's going to help you reset your body before, through, and beyond the holidays, so that you're primed for the whole year. We want to make sure that you don't have this chronic spiraling that happens. So that is what I just wanted to make sure that we set the intention for the next 7 weeks. And by the way, it is 7 weeks, not 6 weeks. We've got a bonus week for you. So that's really great stuff. Julie's put together some amazing holiday guides and handouts that we'll be sharing with you after each class.
Absolutely. And actually, this idea was a little born out of my own personal experience. So Anika and I have taught this class before. In fact, some of you have been to that class before. We love it. We think it's really solid principles that really help people. What is happening? Okay, I'm just going to be honest. So I said I have, my own kind of metabolic challenges. And one of those things is I love sugar. I have to say, I'm going to be honest, it is something I really have to just say no to. So I was at the store the other day with my daughter, and they were all like, I love the pumpkin everything. So it was like pumpkin donuts. My daughter's only 15, but she is so much better than I am. And I was like, oh, they've got gluten-free pumpkin donuts. She's like, Mom, don't do it. Don't do it. And I'm like, you're right. I'm not going to do it, And I thought to myself, if I go down that slippery slope, I'm going to be eating the pumpkin donuts, the pumpkin whatever, everything under the sun. And then I'm going to start my year at a deficit. And I would rather kind of rein it in now rather than have to start over again and, start at a bit of a where I don't want to be in the new year. So that was kind of the thought of this. Like, I want to be on track as well. I'm thinking if I want to be on track, there's probably a lot of you that do too. So, I'm going to be doing this right along with all of you. They are solid principles that Anika and I do use in our regular world for ourselves as well. So it's really born out of practical strategies. So we're really excited about it.
Awesome. And then on a practical level, I also want you guys to know that there is going to be an opportunity for questions and answers if you stay after. So we're going to try to keep this nice and tight, short for you and teach the material. But then if you do have things that you'd like to talk about, that'll be extra. You can stay after. You can also write to us. This is what we really recommend. If you come up with questions during the class, you can write them inside the XP program. So you all have access, or should have access, to a portal which is going to have all of the class material. We call it XP, or it's called XP. It stands for Experientify. And we have a login that was sent to you guys in a welcome email. If any of you do not have that for any reason, please let us know. Just reply to any email you've gotten from us so we can send you the link to get in. But inside that portal, you're going to see opportunities to engage. Every week, we have a unique chat that is where you're going to post your questions, because we want everyone to get the benefit of your questions, so that when we answer, everyone can see the answer and benefit from that. And as a group, we're going to be learning collectively. So I really want to encourage you to please participate in the group chat. In fact, you do have homework the first week. On the dashboard, there are a series of steps that we really recommend that you take just to get started. So please check off those boxes after you've done that. Introduce yourself in the chat. We would love to hear a little bit more about you if you haven't done that. Some of you have. And there are points being given for your participation. Now, we are going to have a leaderboard. I don't know if that causes a little too much stress or anxiety for some of you, but please see it as an opportunity to push yourself and engage, because every step you take, every action step you take, you will be rewarded for it. You will have points, and then there will be a leaderboard, and the leaderboard is going to be up for the entire 7 weeks, and we are going to give awards to the top of the leaderboard. So it really is in your best interest to participate and to check off all of your to-do items. If you miss any calls, we will have the recordings for you. We will also have the summary of the call for you, so that you can get a quick, easy digest, but you still have to do your homework. So every week, Julie and I are going to be checking to make sure that you're checking off the boxes and that you're writing in the chat what you are committing to doing based on this week's information. So each week we'll have one strategy for you to focus on.
Absolutely. All
Did
right.
I leave anything out?
No, I don't think so. I think that participating, people say, just really helps them to really make the most out of the materials. And we do go in there and check for comments and engage with you. So definitely make the best use of it you can. All right, should I start the PowerPoint? Bring it up?
Do it.
All
Let's
right.
jump in.
Let's do it.
But don't forget, guys, if we are going a little fast on things, just remember you're going to get the recording, you're going to get the summary, and then there's always going to be the action steps and the handouts that you'll get after the call. Okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can see my screen okay, Anika?
Yep, I sure can.
All right, very good. Okay, so Anika already mentioned the dashboard and all the different strategy, all of the different action items and things that you can do while you're there. One of the goals that some people have is weight loss. Some people don't. Some people are looking more for energy or stress reduction or resilience during the holidays, being able to be calmer and get better sleep, maybe feel more confident, or whatever that might be for you. So if losing some weight is in there for you, great, let us know. If not, there's other ways for you to be successful as well. And for the course, there will be the content that's released each week. After this call, we will release the content for this week, where you'll be able to see all the handouts that you can download and the recording and everything like that. So you will see that soon. And then we have all of the different topics and strategies that we will go through week after week. And then there will be action steps, as Anika mentioned, and you can mark those off as you go. And then in terms of logging in, you'll see that there's what we call the magic link that you can find in the emails, and that is the way, that's the easiest way to just log directly in and have access to the course. Is there anything, Anika, that you want to say about this?
Just that you will be, the magic link is amazing because you do not need to remember your password. So this course is set up so that it's easy to use on your mobile phone. So if you just open the email and click the link, it'll take you right to the course without needing to log in with a password, which is really helpful. And then the other part is that if it asks you if you want to use the mobile app, the app version or the web browser, please choose web browser. Don't use the app. It doesn't, for some reason, the app is slower and clunkier than just using your web browser. It just works beautifully on your phone without using the app. So that's it.
All right. And then participate, please. We want to hear what you're up to. We want to hear your successes, your questions, all of that. So if you're on the calls with us live, please add anything to our Zoom chat. If we're talking and we're talking about different topics for this week and you know what you want your goals to be, please share them with us and everybody else in the group. If you have successes or things that you accomplished the week before that you want to share, we'll have times to do that, but please add it to the chat too, because everyone else is going to want to be able to engage with all of that. And then if you're watching online, if you're listening to the recordings, do so in the online chat group. So if you can't, we know that some of you are not going to be able to join live, then you can engage with us there. And we really, really do want to see what you're up to. All right, so today is about breakfast breakthrough and protein foundation. So really, this is that morning protein habit that starts your metabolism and keeps you full. That's what we're really going to cover today. So, Anika, do you want to bring some of the polls up on the screen?
Oh yeah, let's do that. We have polls. I forgot to tell you guys that we have some questions for you to answer. Let me bring up the first one. For those of you who are not driving or anything like that, please go ahead and answer these two questions. The first question is, do you eat breakfast? Your options are, and let me know if you don't see this. Hopefully you see it on your screen. Do you eat breakfast? Option 1, usually. Option 2, sometimes, or rarely. Those are your choices. And then question number 2, what does your typical breakfast look like? And then there's a whole list of options. Is it coffee or tea? Is it water? Is it toast, cereal, or oatmeal? Is it a breakfast bar, sports bar, protein smoothie, eggs, something else, or nothing? So we'd love to hear your answers here. As soon as I get more people answering the quiz, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, and we're going to see how you guys answered these questions to get an idea of what we're dealing with here. What kind of habits you guys already have. Okay, so it looks like a few of you, okay, it looks like most of you have answered the poll. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. All right, here are the results. It looks like usually 67% of you are eating breakfast usually. And then 11% of you sometimes, and then 22% of you rarely eat breakfast. Okay. So the next question is, what does your breakfast typically look like? 22%. Okay, let's go with the highest percent. 56% of you said that you eat eggs. Very good.
I know, that's great.
I'm impressed. Okay, and then 22% of you said coffee or tea only. And then we have 22% of you that said something else. Okay.
I'm curious what the something else is. So if you want to type it in the chat, we would love to know.
Kelly. Kelly wrote that I taught her well. Okay, yes. Yay, Kelly. You're doing it right. Okay, so if you want to type in the chat like what that something else is, we'd love to know. And then I'm going to get rid of this poll. Okay, we're ready to move on to the next slide.
Okay, I can still see the poll. Can everybody else see the poll, or?
Oh, really? I thought I
Maybe it's just because I'm an admin.
Okay.
I'll take it off my screen, but if you guys can still see it, just let us know in the chat.
Okay, so we've got a few chats about breakfast. Julie, I am seeing almond butter with raw cacao in a hot blended drink with MCT oil.
That's nice. I like that.
Jillian. Okay. And then LaShonda wrote yogurt with berries and granola and coffee, protein drinks as my creamer. Okay.
Okay,
Great.
great.
Thanks. So now you'll get to see what we have
Yes.
as
So
recommendations.
So one of the things that we talk about in this strategy today is about having a savory breakfast. So let's define what a savory breakfast is. So it's something that's going to be more salty or spicy rather than sweet. It's really going to focus on protein, and we're going to talk more today about protein and why protein is so important throughout the day and why it's great to start breakfast with protein. So savory breakfasts are usually, let's say, eggs is a perfect example, like many of you are doing. That's going to be more of a savory type of a breakfast. And then it may include vegetables. It's typically not sweet and it doesn't contain added sugar, although we do have a couple high protein smoothies and other things. We're adding them to the quote savory breakfast, even though they're not savory, but we're adding them because they're high protein. And really, that's really the goal here, is a high protein breakfast. And then grains are optional. And if someone is to do grains, then that focus really is on whole grains. And then poll number 3, do you want to bring this one up, Anika?
Okay, you got it. Let's see if I can do that. Question number 3, launch. Okay, question number 3, reasons for breakfast. What is the most important? Now, notice the word most is capitalized. What is the most important reason for you to eat a healthy breakfast? Is it to get enough protein? Is it to provide stable and balanced blood sugar? Is it to get filled up and satisfied? Improve your energy and thinking for the day? Or is it to improve your metabolism? Let's see what you guys choose as the answer. Okay, do we get enough answers? Let's see here. We've got 6 people who are able. I think that those of you on mobile phones are not able to do the quiz. So I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize a lot of you are on mobile phones. So
Because we've got, last time we had, I'm sorry to interrupt, we had 9 out of 11, and you and I might be the extra 2.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got it. Yeah, I see. Okay, well, in case you're not able to see the poll questions, it might be because of your device that you're on. So, all right, it looks like you guys answered, and 38% of you chose, it's a tie, 38% of you chose to balance your blood sugar, and 38% of you chose improving energy and thinking for the day. And then a few of you chose, 25% of you chose getting enough protein. All right. Very good answers. Well, of course, that was a loaded question because I put a whole bunch of things on there that are all absolutely great reasons for breakfast. Julie, what do you think is the most important reason to eat a healthy breakfast?
You know, you had me on this one, and I was thinking, I don't know if I know the answer. I would probably say provide stable and balanced blood sugar. So it really does set that framework for the day. So that's what I would say. What do you think?
Yes, I agree with you there. It's really about stable and balanced blood sugar, because that is going to then lead the way, pave the way for all of the other things. So it's going to help you with your satisfaction after the meal, not having crashes. You're going to feel fuller you're going to get that protein. You're going to feel fuller. You're going to improve your energy and your thinking for the day. And of course, it is going to help your metabolism. So I think it starts with the most important reason, which is your blood sugar, because if that is messed up in the morning, you are just you are in a bad place for the rest of the day. So we want to make sure that you are in a great place starting at the beginning.
Yeah, you're playing catch up and trying to rebalance it for the day. So it's good if you can it really helps to balance things out. So, all right, very good. Everyone did a great job on that. So let's jump into, okay, so protein at breakfast, that could look at like eggs, like we talked about. Maybe it's sausage. Maybe it's some leftover dinner from the night before. Maybe it's some chicken or some steak or some pork. It could be some protein-rich dairy like cottage cheese or Greek yogurt or anything else, like maybe it's just some regular cheese or some cream cheese or something. Legumes are also a possibility for those that can't do eggs or can't do meat. They contain some protein and some fiber, and a protein powder in, let's say, a smoothie or something like that. So protein helps to improve metabolic health when it's eaten at breakfast, and also beneficial with weight management. And there was this study that was done, and it looked at the effects of breakfast consumption on metabolic wellness, and it was really looking at carbohydrate metabolism. And so including protein, fat, and fiber improves metabolic health, and that includes heart health and blood sugar balance, and it has favorable effects for cholesterol and blood pressure, and it helps to enhance satiety and fat burning. And another really interesting study, I think, looked at the composition of breakfast. In this case, it was looking at the glycemic index of foods at breakfast. And we're going to talk in a future week about glycemic index. So that'll be something we'll get more into. But when we look at glycemic index, those are going to be things that are, protein is a really good one that is going to be supportive of a good glycemic index. So in other words, the certain foods at breakfast help control blood sugar throughout the day. And so that part of that is an ideal breakfast that's going to be one of these more like savory, higher protein type of breakfasts. And that actually they found helped to prevent spikes in blood sugar throughout the morning and after the next meal of the day. So as we were saying earlier, it really helps to maintain that more stable blood sugar as the day goes on. And people, they found in the study too that 30% of people skip breakfast, and about 80% or over 80% have cold cereal at breakfast. That is going to be one of those high glycemic foods that we want to avoid, and we want to focus more on the higher protein foods. All right. And then, so we talked about some of these things for a savory breakfast. They're going to keep blood sugar balanced. They're going to reduce food cravings, particularly carbohydrates. They're going to help improve energy levels and help to provide more consistent levels of energy throughout the day. It can help reduce hunger, reduce sugar cravings, really help to support our ability to think and focus and have good cognitive function. And protein is helpful for strength and muscle growth and repair and many other things that we're going to talk about. So in terms of timing for breakfast, ideally it's within 2 hours after waking up. That helps to break the breakfast from the night before. And some of this requires building a new habit if it's something we're not familiar with. And it actually can help change that circadian rhythm, or those rhythms of the body that involve sleep and wake and eating and all of the things that our body needs to do during the day. All right, our fourth and final poll question for the day. You want to do it, Anika?
I sure will. Just give me a second here. Question number 4, launch. Okay, you should see on your screen, the question is, are you hungry at night? Do you eat your biggest meal at night and feel hungriest at night, or do you snack before bed? Is that rarely, sometimes, or frequently? Those are your options. And this is a really important question to answer related to this topic, and I'll explain why in a second. So it looks like so far we've got 57%, 50, numbers are going up. All right. Let's see here. 50% of you said frequently that you are frequently eating your biggest meal at night and you feel hungriest at night, or maybe you're snacking before bed. 38% of you said sometimes, and 13% of you, so a very low number of you, oh, just one of you, says rarely.
Mhm.
So that is, as I expected, it's actually one of the biggest problems that has been brought to my attention. I will admit to you that it absolutely was one of my issues as well. I had absolute control over the morning meals and the afternoon. I was like, oh, I'm barely eating anything. Oh, this is just great. And then by nighttime, I was so hungry. I was eating huge amounts of food and then I couldn't stop. It was just
Mhm.
overwhelming desire to eat everything in my kitchen. So
Mhm.
after some time, I realized that there was a reason that was happening, and your body is keeping track of your habits. So the thing is, I wasn't hungry in the morning. So what do you
Mhm.
do when you're not hungry in the morning? Do you force yourself to eat? And I will tell you this. I did. I forced
Mhm.
myself to eat when I was not hungry. It doesn't have to be a huge amount of food, but it does need to be consistent, because when you start this new consistent habit, what happens is your body starts to track the fact that you are fueling your body early in the day and it's safe. There's enough calories, there's
Mhm.
enough amino acids going into your body. And instead, before, what you might be doing right now is you're eating very moderately, very lightly, or not at all. And then at night, you're starving. Your body's like, oh my gosh, there's been barely any nutrients. You've been running on
Mhm.
cortisol the whole day. And now your body is going to try to make up for it. And that hunger can be so overwhelming that it is very difficult to make progress on a weight loss journey. So what I recommend is that you give this a try, even if you're not hungry, even if you really just, I mean, you can wait a couple hours. And certainly, if you're working out, I do want to mention, if you are exercising in the morning, anything rigorous at all, beyond just walking, you do need to fuel yourself within an hour of working out. So it might be even sooner if you're doing some sort of workout. Julie, is there a slide after this one that relates to this topic?
Good question. I don't think we do.
Oh,
I
okay.
think I forgot that one.
Oh, no worries. No, there's no need. So the answer to the question is about the poll. Let's focus on getting something in the morning, a
Mhm.
really good breakfast with plenty of protein. As the slide shows, the next slide that Julie's going to talk to us about is how much protein should we be getting for
Mhm.
breakfast. And we do have, go ahead, and if you could forward the
Yep.
slide, please.
Absolutely. One quick thing I wanted to add to this is I've struggled with the same thing in the past myself too. And I wouldn't necessarily say I feel starving at night, but I have these cravings and like you said, I just can't satisfy them. I keep eating and eating and eating. So you might not even be feeling quote hungry, but your body on some level knows that it hasn't gotten its nutrients. And so you're craving and snacking and all of this throughout the night. All right.
Exactly. Let me ask a question first, real quick. Can someone put in the chat, are you able to see my video? Because right now I see the screen with the poll question and I see Julie on my screen. I don't see me talking. Are you guys able to see me? If you could just type, someone could just chat. Okay, Kelly says I see you. Okay, good. As long as I'm not just like a voice in the background. Okay, cool.
All right, great. All right, and then so as we'll see, we'll get into protein targets for the day and what that looks like throughout the day. Just to give us a start, what does breakfast look like? If we're going to try, if we're trying to get, let's say, a target of 30 grams of protein, what does that look like? And so that might be some steak and eggs. It might, if it's eggs, it's, let's say 3 eggs and then a couple slices of turkey bacon. But if it's, 3.5 ounces of steak, then maybe it's only 1 egg. So it all depends on kind of that combination of the meat and the eggs. But any combination could be sausage and eggs, anything like that. It could be yogurt and some protein powder, a good clean source of protein powder, and we will have some suggestions for you for that. And Greek yogurt is ideal because Greek yogurt's thicker. So because some of the liquid has been drained from it, it is more concentrated in protein. So if you don't like Greek yogurt, that's okay, but you're going to want to look at how much protein is in the type of yogurt that you tend to like. Another higher protein choice would be cottage cheese is a great one. And then you can do that more savory, like with some like salt, like onion salt or something like that. Or you could do something where it's maybe some strawberry protein powder or some fruit in there. It might look like some regular grass-fed yogurt and some protein powder. Maybe in this case it's chocolate versus something more fruity.
Let me interrupt real quick. Also,
Yeah.
just for those of you who might be looking at this slide and thinking, oh my gosh, I could never eat that much food, and I certainly can't eat meat for breakfast. I know that some of you are probably thinking that, and that's okay. We actually came up with some great recipes that we're going to be sharing with you that are not like meat heavy or not difficult to digest for those of you that have maybe a weaker digestion and certainly don't have the appetite in the morning. So even though we're just kind of discussing some of these possible breakfasts with you, we do have some concrete recipes for you that you can check out and try to see how that works. And for example, with the eggs, if you're really concerned about, obviously the total calories or the fat content, you can always get some egg whites to mix in there. So you could do 2 whole eggs, added in some egg whites that come in, you can buy the egg whites by themselves in a little carton, and you can make an omelet with a mixture of the two just to boost that protein content without adding as many calories. And I know that some of you really just don't have the appetite for it. So there's workarounds. We've got lots of options for you. So just look for it in the handouts.
Great. And then I won't go into reading each one of these, but there are non-dairy options for things like yogurt and all of that. So if you can't do maybe whey protein or regular yogurt, there's options. Also, smoked salmon is delicious at breakfast. And then there's smoothie options as well. And there's dairy and non-dairy options. So we always try to provide options that are non-dairy for those of you who can't do dairy.
And we will discuss the amino acids as well for those of you that need extra protein, but you just can't get the food into your body. We do have a supplement that we've been using very successfully over the years. It's either perfect amino or essential amino, and we'll talk about that later. So just know that we got you on this. We'll just be talking about it a little bit later.
Yes, and in the resources section of the system, there will be a link to be able to order supplements. And many of you might be ordering supplements already from Anika, and so you know how to do that, but that'll be in the resources as well. I won't go into like every ingredient of every recipe. These are some of the ones that are not in our recipe system, so they're here instead. So a high protein, low carb oatmeal for people that want to do something like this for breakfast. Maybe it's a yogurt with protein, and maybe it's got some added, let's say, peanut butter, something else like that in it. It could be overnight oats with some added protein powder. Maybe it's yogurt with some extra protein and collagen.
If you guys want these, by the way, there's 2 things. You can always take screenshots anytime throughout the next 7 weeks. If you see something on the screen, take a screenshot by all means. But also, we're happy to provide you with any slides. Okay, so just let me know in the chat, in the group chat, and I will make sure that you get any materials that you may have missed.
Great. And then, of course, scrambled eggs in any form. Some people like to do cottage cheese, all sorts of things. So it's very flexible. And then this is our handout that you'll find available very soon with a whole bunch of different egg, non-egg, dairy, non-dairy, vegetarian, all different types of higher protein savory breakfast ideas. All right, let's jump into protein in general and talk a little bit more about why do we focus on protein. We talked some about it. We talked about its metabolic benefits, but also many of us are over 40 and there is a metabolism shift that happens as we age. And when we have a decline in estrogen and progesterone, it starts altering our body composition. And so muscle mass, what we call lean body tissue, it decreases 3 to 8% per decade after age 30. And so this is where focusing on muscle mass is important. Muscle mass, as we'll see, is important for our metabolism. And so our resting metabolic rate slows. That's why we often hear of it being easier to gain weight, particularly gaining fat around the abdomen as well. And so our protein needs actually increase as we get older to protect our muscles and our metabolism. And this is something I rarely hear discussed in really kind of the mainstream thinking about nutrition, but it is a very beneficial principle that I wish were more talked about. And then we can look at the role, we talked about some about metabolic health, right? So it helps with that muscle protein synthesis, that muscle growth. It helps with maintaining insulin sensitivity. We want to be sensitive to insulin so our body can respond the way that it needs to and help to stabilize our blood sugar after we eat. It helps to support fat oxidation and fat burning and energy expenditure. It helps to preserve that muscle mass even when we're reducing calories. And studies show that higher protein diets improve body composition and metabolic markers compared to low protein diets. We can look at appetite and weight regulation and how protein can help control hunger. It helps to increase our hormones that support satiety or feeling satisfied and fuller. It helps to reduce ghrelin, which is a hunger hormone. It delays gastric emptying so that we feel fuller longer. And it helps to prevent blood sugar spikes, as we've mentioned. And then the crashes that can result, and this helps to maintain more of a fat burning rather than a fat storage state. And then muscle that muscle metabolism connection. So I mentioned that the topic a bit of fat burning. Well, what's really interesting is that the more muscle we have, the more fat we burn, because muscle is more metabolically active than fat. 3 to 5 times more. So every pound of muscle burns about 6 to 10 calories per day, rather than fat is only about 2. So the more muscle we gain, the more we're going to burn fat. We're going to have that higher resting metabolism. Just having more muscle, even if we're sitting around, hopefully we're doing some walking and things, but even when we're at rest, we are going to burn more fat or burn more calories and energy. And then the combination of strength training and adequate protein really is going to be our best defense against that midlife weight gain and to provide that muscle mass we are hoping for. Protein helps support hormone balance. It helps to provide amino acids that are important for the thyroid, the adrenals, neurotransmitters for our brain function and our mood. We talked about insulin and leptin. It helps with maintaining bone and collagen integrity. So there's lots of great things that protein can do. And so sarcopenia is a loss of muscle mass as we age. And so that combination of that high protein diet and that resistance training, so weight training and things. We'll talk more about exercise as we go through the program, but that combination really helps to inhibit or prevent sarcopenia. And so all of these things are things that help to prevent it. So it's high protein diet and weight resistance or resistance training. It can be a variety of different supplements like creatine. We can look at vitamin D and omega-3s and antioxidants and certain herbs like ashwagandha. All of these things help us to keep that muscle mass as we age. Anything you wanted to add in here, Anika?
No.
Okay. All right. And then animal protein versus plant protein. So we're supportive of whatever our clients and people that we work with might need or want in terms of a diet. But we also like to share just some of the science and facts so people can make the best choices. So what's interesting is that an animal-based protein has higher contents of branched chain amino acids, and that helps to evoke greater anabolic pathways and basically building of muscle than plant-based proteins do. So we do tend to really like animal protein generally as a rule. I think, of course, a balance is fine, but there is a difference when people are choosing. There's a difference in the quality of the protein based on the type of protein. And that's just something that's helpful to know. But then there are some amino acid supplements and other things that we like that we can talk about. So with this, let's talk about what some of those foods are. So we talk about protein. We talk usually about grams of protein, and I think for the most part, that's a great way to go. But there are differences in the what I would call the quality of protein, and that has to do with the ones in the green are more of those excellent, easily digestible, well absorbed with a full amino acid profile. So we're getting all of the essential amino acids that we need. If we do something like the ones that are over there in the red, the more of the plant-based proteins, these do not contain all of the essential amino acids. And so this is where we have to start using food combining or combining of multiple different types of plant proteins to ensure we get all of the essential amino acids. So it's possible to do. It's just that it does require a little bit more thinking, a little more strategizing, and a little more awareness. So it's just something to be aware of as you're making your choices throughout the day.
I'd love to comment real quickly also on this topic, Julie, because I took a really wonderful seminar with Dr. Michael and Mary Dan Eads. They are the authors of the Protein Power book and a few other books. They are experts in metabolic health. They had an incredible seminar just on the topic of protein where I learned some incredible things. And one of them is that they said if you were going to eat from the red circle here, so we're talking about nuts, seeds, collagen, peanut butter, pasta, bread, oats, potatoes, rice, peas, beans, if you're going to try to get your protein from those foods in that red list, you actually need to, you can look at the protein content, but you need to divide that by 2, meaning it is not going to provide you, if you're supposedly getting 30 grams of protein from getting whatever amount of rice and beans, you can cut that in half as far as your usability. You know, the completeness isn't there, so it's just much harder for your body to absorb. So in contrast, if you're going to go with the green foods here, which are not the green foods, but the foods in the green circle, the eggs, the egg whites, whole milk, cheese, whey, casein, beef, lamb, pork, game, chicken, turkey, fish, or seafood. Those are the ones that are complete, and you can actually look at the number of grams. If it says 30 grams, if you're getting 30, you really are getting 30 grams, which is really important. So this is based on scientific studies. They did research for, a decade to see all the different, measuring the body after people consume certain kinds of food and different kinds of protein, measuring the blood, seeing how many amino acids are in there and what the body is able to utilize. So this is concrete scientific data. It's not just kind of like, oh, it's better to eat. It's not just our opinion that it's better to eat complete proteins. It's really important to be mindful about it.
Absolutely. Do you want to share a little bit about the essential aminos too? Because that can help some people that maybe they do eat a little bit more from the red circle. Can you explain a little bit about the essential aminos?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a few supplements. So there are nutritional supplements which provide the essential amino acids that are inside protein. So the background is protein is made of amino acids, and there's actually, over 20 amino acids, and the body needs all of them in order to make a complete protein. If one is missing, for example, tryptophan, if one is missing, the body cannot make a complete protein. And the problem with that is we run into challenges over time when we are missing certain essential amino acids. And they're called essential because the body cannot make them. Now,
Mhm.
all the other aminos, there's some that are essential. There's a list of, what is it, Julie? Is it 9 essential aminos?
I think so.
So those aminos your body cannot make. You must acquire them from food, and they are in short supply. I mentioned tryptophan on purpose because tryptophan is actually one of the ones that seems to be missing from a lot of our food supply these days because of changes in agriculture and the way that animals the way that animals are fed, the way that we are combining our foods. So if one is missing, you don't make the protein. And what kinds of proteins are there? Everything is a protein. Everything from your hair, your nails, your skin, insulin, your digestive enzymes. We have protein in every single organ of our body. Of course, we have amino acids inside our muscle. So we have this incredible need for all of the amino acids,
Mhm.
and the essential aminos, the supplement, can help you fill the gaps where need be. And we also have a blood test. If you want to take a blood test, just let us know. We can give you the exact amino acid that you're deficient in, which is really helpful information. But in case you want to skip the test, because it's around $200, not a big deal. It's really worth it, honestly. You can take the essential aminos. I do. I love my essential aminos. I take them in the mornings, especially after a workout or before a workout. So we'll have those available for you to check out inside the Full Script store for those of you who feel like you need a supplement because you just can't get
Mhm.
enough protein in your diet, and or you're just not able to do the breakfast thing.
Yes. So the essential aminos are different than protein powder. Protein powder is going to be more of a food-based protein powder, whereas the essential aminos are going to be the specific amino acids that are, I guess, extracted from those proteins, for an example. So just to give you a sense, they're slightly different. Growth and repair. So if many of us are needing to not only maybe want to have some muscle growth, but if we need to repair, and that, sometimes it can be harder to repair when we have an injury. Just keep those two things in mind. And one of the things that Anika was saying about tryptophan, tryptophan is very important for mood. So tryptophan builds serotonin. That's that feel-good hormone or that feel-good neurotransmitter that provides that sense of well-being and happiness, as well as converts to melatonin, which helps us sleep at night. So tryptophan is one of those important ones. All right, let's jump into this is where I was talking, well, weight loss might not be your goal, or maybe you're not seeing the weight come off, but that is not the ultimate goal for everybody. What's interesting is body composition can change. And so we can feel better. We can feel better in our clothes. We can feel stronger. We can feel lighter. We can feel more confident, um, because how fat, a muscle weighs more than fat. So as you gain muscle, if you don't see the scale going down, but you do see your clothes fitting better, you might have some of that that's going on. So kind of keep that in mind as you're on your journey. All right, so we talked about when to eat breakfast. How about when to eat protein? So at each meal, it's good to eat some protein, and it's good to divide it up throughout the day. And then, as we said, good to start at breakfast. After a workout, within 2 hours of a workout, because we're going to, again, be breaking down and building up those muscles, and we need those building blocks in order to do that. So we want to do within 2 hours of a workout. The research shows that's going to be the best time to support really building that muscle. And then, so examples might be, let's say 20, let's say if someone wanted to do, and we'll go into ranges, let's say 100 to 120 grams a day. That looks like 25 to 30 at breakfast, at lunch, at snack, and at dinner. So 3 or 4 times a day, we're going to be needing to get some decent amounts of protein. So how do we calculate that? There's a variety of ways you can go with some of the, more of the research and figure out how many kilograms you weigh. And, there's different studies on middle-aged women and this and that and different philosophies and theories. You can just really go look at kind of some ranges. So anything from, like Anika said, doing lab testing and figuring things out to looking at some of those more calculations. Or what I tend to like to do is to look at your height and then get a range for your protein and then kind of figure it out, because again, it depends. Some people, they might be able to do more calories than somebody else. They might be, they're all, a whole variety of things might shift what somebody's metabolic state is or how much protein. So if you look at just kind of a range, I feel like that's often a really good way to go. You can also calculate it in a couple different ways and see. Anika, maybe, I don't know if I know we were going to focus more on that chart for today, because I know it can get pretty complicated, because depending on if somebody's, let's say, overweight, if they're kind of more significantly overweight, it might be harder to do some of the calculations. Do you want to say anything about your thoughts about figuring out their protein range?
Yes, I'm going to offer something quick just because we're running out of time here for this call. So I'm going to offer something for all of you who are my clients. Go ahead and tell me reach out to me through the group chat, and not here in the Zoom, but in the actual course module. If you do not know your protein goals, tell me your height and I will look up your information and I will give you your protein goals for the day. And it also has to do with your physical activity levels. If you are not one of my clients, you can still reach out and I will reply. We will reply. Julie and I will reply to you. But just to give you an example, let's just pick something. Katie, do you mind being a guinea pig? Could you mind telling us your height? We'll do one person here. Katie, what is your height? And then we'll give a range of protein ideas. Let's see if we can unmute you. Katie, unmute. Let's see. Ask to unmute. Okay, let's see if you can unmute yourself and tell us or you can type it into the chat if you can't get unmuted. And then let's see, are you 5? And then what we can do is here, if you guys take a screenshot, you can also see, like, for example, as Katie is trying to like type or unmute herself. Oh,
Am I good?
yes, you're good. I can hear you. What's your
I'm
height?
5'10".
You're 5'10". Oh my gosh, you're 5'10". Okay, so luckily we have you on the chart here, because most women are not as blessed as you are to have that beautiful height. Okay, so for a 5'10" individual woman, you are going to be aiming for 7 to 7.5 ounces per meal. So that would be 3 times a day. That's a lot of protein.
That is.
Now, that is if you are physically active, you are working out, and you are not a couch potato. Things change when you are very sedentary. No, I'm just saying, like, it does matter if you are totally sedentary. The goal here is we want you to become more physically active, obviously. But if you are very sedentary, you can get away with a lot less. But if you want to lose weight and not lose muscle, we recommend that you have like 7 ounces of protein per meal, 3 times a day. Now, if you are 5'2", it changes. You're going to be looking at 4 ounces or 4.5 ounces of protein per meal times 3. So that would give you an idea. Now, these calculations are on the high end for protein. And the reason is because we're trying to really load you optimally in protein so that it reduces the amount of carbohydrates and sugars, and it gives you a lot of amino acids so that you don't have the sugar cravings and you have the sustained energy. So yes, it's much higher than you are probably used to, but it serves an amazing purpose.
Yes, and you had mentioned, let's say somebody it was for Katie it was, let's say, 7 to 7.5 ounces times 3 meals. Let's talk about that, because that is, if we're talking, let's say the animal protein, right? And also, so let's talk about ounces of protein versus grams, because that grams would convert to, let's say, 105 to 145 grams of protein in a day.
Oh, we have a slide on that, I think.
Yes,
So
I want
people
to.
okay, go ahead.
Yes, because that can be confusing. So if your steak or your chicken breast weighs 115 grams, that doesn't mean 115 grams of protein. That it means 115 grams of that muscle weight, which has water and fat and all sorts of other things in it. That actually equates to about 30 grams of protein. So kind of keep that in mind when we're talking about ounces of protein versus grams, ounces of meat versus grams of protein. Just so that you aren't confused, especially if you're going to be measuring it on your scale.
So remember this, guys, 4 ounces of either chicken or fish or steak, 4 ounces is about 30 grams of protein, which is the goal for most of you who are in, the shorter side of the height, from not like Katie, but those of us who
Like
are
me size.
So 4 ounces equals 30 grams of protein. That's a general rule of thumb. So keep that in mind, because that is going to be your goal for 3 times a day. Usually it's a minimum goal for 3 times a day. Does that help, guys?
All right.
Great.
And then since we're about out of time, here's a couple. We have handouts and things. So here's some examples of what that looks like, that 30 grams. Also, you can look at 1 ounce is about 7 grams of protein. So that gives you a sense. And there are so many different options. Just if you get bored or you want some new ideas, we try to go with high quality, grass-fed, pasture-raised, wild-caught, things like that, to give you some higher quality. And then I just want to mention a little bit about some of the handouts you're going to see on the back end of the membership area when you're doing it. So we do have a worksheet. So we have each week we'll have a strategy worksheet. So if you're one of those people who likes to print things out and write things down and take notes, you can do that. And this is the first one for today's session. Also, you'll see in the action item areas the breakfast recipes that we mentioned, and you'll see a big handout with those. And then also you'll have the protein calculations, so you can see all of those, as well as some of the visual guides of sources of protein, so you can get a sense of those, maybe put them on your refrigerator, whatever helps you kind of plan your strategy for the day. And then that is kind of it for our content. I know we have a little bit short on time, but if people want to stay a little bit and anyone wants a hot seat, Anika, do you want to see if there's anybody that might want to?
Sure. First, let me just tell you guys one thing. For those of you who need to jump off, there is some really important material for you inside the course content, the XP guide. There's going to be an action list for things to check off based on what we covered today. Please don't forget about that. It's going to be available probably in an hour if it's not already. It should probably be available to you guys. There is a checklist and there are the downloads available. Please go in there, and introduce yourself and check things off so that we can make sure that you got the material that you need. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, yes, Julie, I do agree with you. Since we are out of time officially and our call and the content is done, I know a lot of you need to get going, but for those of you who have questions or want to stick around, we'd love to open hot seat time, meaning if you've got just some challenge, like maybe one of you just can't do the breakfast for some reason, or you've tried and you're concerned about it, go ahead and just raise your hand or unmute your microphone. Let's see. There's like a little raise hand icon for whoever wants to volunteer, and we're gonna take some questions now.
Yes, and quick thing for if anybody wants to tell us in the chat, if you already know, like, here's my new goal, this is something I want to do, something you learned on the call today that was particularly interesting to you, chat with us. I want to hear about kind of what aha moments you had from any of this. Kelly wants to know if the slide decks are on the website. The recordings will be on the website, and in the recordings will be all the slides on the screen. So if you want to take pictures of any of them, you can pull up those recordings and you can take screenshots. And I think Anika mentioned if there was anything that somebody wanted for any of the slides, she would be able to get those to you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, do we have any, do any of you have any questions? Does anyone want to volunteer or have any comments about anything? You're welcome to unmute your microphone. And let's see if I can see. Julie, do you see like the list of, trying to see everybody? Okay.
I can see, yep, I can see everybody, and I can see the chat as well. So if anyone wants to ask, yeah.
Okay, good. I don't see any questions. You guys are like, I guess we covered so much good content. No one has any questions, so that's awesome. Great. Okay, well, Julie, if you don't have anything else, I'm trying to think. We will see you inside the program module, and we will be interacting with you there. And some of the questions that you're going to be answering include things like finding something from the recipe guide. We want you to actually look through the PDF and commit to a few breakfast ideas that you're going to be trying. And I also would love to see, you guys figure out your protein range. So we'll discuss that. That'll be one of the topics as well. And then, of course, if you have any ideas, you can share them so that we can all benefit. If you have a breakfast idea and you'd like to share it with the group, you can do that too. How does that sound, Julie? Did I cover everything?
I think that sounds great. I was just chatting with some people that were saying that this was an excellent presentation. Natalia said that. Thank you so much. So thank you. We're glad you liked it. And so yeah, it's great. Someone was asking if we had any suggestions for high protein choices on the go.
Yes. You know what? We didn't cover that. That is actually a very big topic. I'm in a hurry. I don't have time. I got to run out the door. What can I do? So we have created a few of the recipes in the breakfast guide that you're going to be downloading are things that you can make in batches. And that is really going to be your goal here, is to find a recipe that you can make at least 3 portions of so that you can grab it and go each morning. I'll tell you what I've done very successfully. It's always with eggs. If you guys cannot, for those of you who cannot do eggs, I have some other ideas, but eggs are so easy to make, like a casserole or egg muffins, and they last for several days in the fridge, and you can grab them and go. You don't even have to reheat them. They can be eaten cold. I don't know if you like cold eggs. I don't mind, especially if I'm hungry, I will eat them.
Hard-boiled eggs are a good one. Those are easy. And also, I didn't mean to interrupt, but in the handouts, there's a whole page of high protein snacks. And so those are going to be some good on-the-go protein snacks. We have some bars that we like, some kind of like meat bars. Those epic bars are really good. Meat sticks, because they're things that you can just like leave in your car. You'll have them when you need them. So those might be some other ideas, and definitely check out that handout of the so called the protein sources is the handout. All right, and then Jillian's asking, is it worth taking the amino acid supplement anyway, or only if intake as incomplete proteins?
It depends. Oh gosh, I hate to say it depends because it's always it depends. But I do believe that the amino acids are an amazing way to supplement your diet, even if you feel like you are getting a complete protein, because it adds an extra source of those essential aminos that are so hard to get. And honestly, like I'll tell you, I get plenty of protein. I'm really good at getting my protein, but I add those aminos, and let me tell you, I've never had hair this long before. Like my hair just it wasn't growing for years. It was just like breaking and brittle, my hair, my nails. You notice differences, even if your diet is already pretty good. What I love is that it's taking it to the next level because you're really optimizing things. So I think there's really good reason to possibly put an essential amino acid into your diet. And if you're not sure, I'm going to recommend a book. It's called The Search for the Perfect Protein. This is a book written by David Minkoff. He's a medical doctor. He developed the perfect aminos and these essential amino acids. He has an entire practice based on these amino acids. Really, really incredible stuff. Read the book, see if you feel like it could be helpful to you, and also consider doing that test, that blood test, to see which amino acids you need. And if you don't know, you take them all. Go from there. I hope that helps, but let's keep discussing because we can also help you in the chat. We can talk about what's going on with your health. What are your struggles? Where are your weaknesses? And we'll see whether the aminos, adding those aminos plus making diet changes is the way to go, or if you're good.
Yes. Natalia asks, is it important to eat at the same time every day?
Julie, do you want to answer that?
Sure. I think that it is, to some extent, yes. And I'll explain what I mean by that. It's like eating, we had mentioned eating 2 hours after waking or within 2 hours of waking is a good time frame. So from that perspective, it's not that you have to necessarily wake up at X time every day and eat at X time every day, but at least eating within a window after you wake is good. And then typically eating some solid meals and having a kind of break in between those meals is usually good as well, rather than say grazing all day but life isn't perfect and sometimes we're not always going to eat at the same time every day, but I think a lot of people will find that if they eat breakfast, they will probably at more or less eat at some consistent intervals throughout the day because they'll find that they'll need to kind of refuel at a certain point. And we don't want to go too long without eating. So, but you need it. It's also different for different people. We'll talk as we go through the program. Some people want to stop eating earlier before bedtime, or they might do some intermittent fasting or some longer breaks between meals. So different people are going to do different things. And usually when people engage in different strategies, they might want to be consistent with those. So I think there is some general benefit to being consistent, having that circadian rhythm and having more or less not wild swings in when we go to bed, not wild swings in when we eat, tends to help our body and our adrenals and our stress regulation be better. So I would say a little bit of yes to that, but it doesn't have to be exact, would be my answer. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah, I think consistency is a really important one. And I'm going to say, Natalia, one of the things that I think is really important for you specifically is for you to fuel after your workout. So I happen to know that you do a pretty intense workout. You go to Orange Theory. So when you do that early in the morning, and let's say your first meal is at noon, you're really causing your body to run on cortisol for the first half of the day. And that's what you don't want because you're actually destroying things in your body. If you're constantly running on cortisol, it is a negative thing that we want to avoid. So in order to really, I think, make a big improvement on the eating times, I think that timing the first meal after your workout would be a huge change to your system and a huge improvement, a huge noticeable improvement I think that you would get over time is eating earlier in the day, and maybe you would end the last meal would be earlier in the day as well, which would have additional metabolic benefits, which we'll talk about in, I think it's week number 3 or 4. I'm not sure. So yeah, eating, I would say even an hour is better. Julie, you'd mentioned 2 hours, which is what, some of the research says, but
Yeah.
if an hour after strength training is even more optimal. I know personal trainers who say it's within 30 minutes. They do not go 30 minutes after a weight training session without getting either aminos, take your aminos or have some protein. So there
Yeah.
you go. I hope that helps as far as consistency and meal timing.
Yes, yes, that's great. Yeah, it was like within that, and you're right. Sooner is better. All right, very good. Anybody have anything else?
I don't see any other questions.
All right.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll see everybody next week, and look forward to it. And each week we'll have new handouts and new topics of discussion. So we hope to see you live on the calls. It's always a pleasure to have you join in and ask things live and engage with us. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. See you next week.
Bye.